We are talking about empty nester guilt. Last week, our whole conversation was about how we lost our way in the empty nest.
Yeah.
This week, we actually found our way back. This is the Loud, Quiet, Living the Empty Nest. Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 46. I almost said because we just talked about 45. So this is episode 46. So thank you for sticking with us. We're inching close to that 50 mark.
I know. That's hard to believe that it'll be 50. And I know that that'll kind of mark sort of a season break for us because, we're getting back to that point that we started this last year. So,
I mean,
we were probably painting the room this month
right
last year, right? This is when we filmed that time-lapse video. If you haven't seen it, it's on the YouTube video, the little time-lapse of how we built the studio.
I mean, you have to think there's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
We will hit 50 episodes pretty much at a year. So
we only skipped a couple weeks. So.
Did a pretty good job.
Well,
for ourselves. Yes, pat ourselves on the back. So.
How's that for vanity listeners and viewers?
I'm sure everyone, unless you've been in even if you're in another country, everyone has access to their phones, but it's just been a weird weekend.
Yeah.
Richard Simmons died, and I had to double check it and triple check it because
to make sure
that one has been rumored before. He died. I woke up this morning, Shannon Doherty died. Brenda, 90210. Dr. Ruth died.
Yeah.
These are all... Now, Dr. Ruth set aside. I mean, she was old.
96, I believe.
Yeah. But, I remember watching her show at night and you thought you were doing something, naughty and scandalous, when really, if you watched it now, it's probably just a lot of biological information.
Right. Which I guess back then folks needed to have that level of education.
Yes.
Absolutely. She wasn't one that I actually watched. She was just, but there's the point. I didn't watch Richard Simmons. I didn't watch Dr. Ruth. They were such cultural icons that I knew who they were, even if I'd never had put eyeballs on one of their shows.
Mm-hmm. The thing I love about Richard Simmons, I never did. I won't say never. Yes, I've done some of his workouts. Ashley and I throw him on sometimes, like not lately, but during COVID we did because we were running out of things to do. He's just so positive, so upbeat, loves people. He at the end of his life he became a recluse, but his goal was to always be inclusive and everyone can be involved in working out.
Doesn't matter what your body shape was, doesn't matter what your fitness is, just get in there.
And I love that. So that, it's sad when you see people like that pass away. And then, of course, everyone knows Brenda from 90210. And
which there wasn't a lot of positivity there. The character is not the most positive.
Was not.
No, I'm not talking about the actress. I'm talking about the character.
Yes, but...
Yeah, that's a slightly different. And to your point of positivity, I mean, yes, those are three very famous, the rule of three. And then, of course, we are not a political podcast, but how can we not acknowledge the fact that we had an assassination attempt on a former president, a presidential candidate? This is wrong. And I don't care what side of the party you're on. I don't care what side of politics you're on. That's wrong. That's not how we handle it in America. There was a great editorial in the Dallas News today of we do things through peaceful elections. We do not do things through bullets. And what did you and I say before we hit record here? We're like, we've got to get back to civil discourse. Yes. Or I think you
kindness.
said
just kindness. Just awareness. I was talking about that last night with the people that we were out. People are just so selfish. No one cares. No one cares if they cut you off on the road. No one cares if, Tegan's seeing it at the movie theater. She goes in to clean. People just leave their stuff, trash it out.
Not just leave, but aggressively mess.
It's just,
and that's so. If anything, way too soon. Like this is the way too soon statement, but maybe this will help us realize that as a culture, we've jumped the shark on our rage, on our manufactured rage, and my way is the only way, therefore your way is not worthy of existing, and just get back to an actual kindness and honor and respect the other side, regardless of which side you're on.
Yeah, it's sad for everyone. involved, including all of us. It's just,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Now, that's not what this episode is about this week, thank goodness.
Although we are kind of talking about empty nester guilt.
Yeah.
At least I felt that. I've been feeling it some this summer, and I felt it this week.
Define what you mean by that. I don't know
Well,
what
I
you mean
will
by...
when we get
Oh, okay.
into our conversation. But, you and I actually, last week, our whole conversation was about how we lost our way in the empty nest.
Yeah.
This week, we actually found our way back. I mean, we actually just
We
crammed
actually
it all
did
in.
things.
I know.
And we did things completely, some things were improv, some things were planned, but they were the exact way you'd want it to be as an empty nester, and that is two adults going and doing things that they want to, either as a couple or with friends.
Yeah.
The kind of the life that you envision when you hear the phrase empty nest. Now that we've done this for almost a year, you realize that reality doesn't happen automatically. It takes it's a handcrafted, artisanal experience that you have to put together.
Yeah. And like you said, most of our things this week were very impromptu or had something planned around that then ended up being impromptu things. Tuesday night we went out with our life group and met up again for dinner. We started this life group last spring. Yeah,
That
we
sounds
just
right.
started in
Yeah,
the spring.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we've continued in the summer just to try to get together when people are in town. And
just in case, life group may not be common. Like, I think it probably is to most, but life group is sort of the modern version, almost like of Sunday school. As churches have gotten where they don't have the space for actual Sunday schools or even just a schedule for it, groups of people from the church meet together, typically with stage of life or geography as alignment, and then meet as life groups.
yeah, and we have been very blessed that ours has clicked and been very good for I think everyone in it. So that is a nice. So we did that, Tuesday night, and sorry, here he comes. So, and then Friday we had already scheduled. We were picking up Tanner's apartment keys and
down at the Village. So that's down in Dallas from us in Frisco.
Yes,
and we'd known that we were going to go out. So I don't mind that this was. Okay, it's the kids. The kid gave us the reason to be there. We have really enjoyed reconnecting with Dallas, and some elements of getting our groove back, if you will, have been kind of the repeats. Just like last week, we laughed about Chili's. Well, Greenville is a place that we did spend plenty of time, and when we were picking up his key, we drove down Skillman. Sorry for all the local geography for those that aren't from here, but drove down Skillman, crossed Martell, and knew that our house that we lived in was 2 blocks down the road. We didn't go swing by. We should have just swung by it, but we were in our old stomping grounds as young marrieds.
yeah. Well, and even
dating actually
yes,
before
dating
the house was young married, but
I
dating.
spent so much time on Greenville, even back in high school. So I know that area very well. But yes, it was, we had planned on, okay, we're going to go out after we move the few things, the small things. The big move is later this week, but we had some small things. Oh my gosh.
We're old.
This is why we hired movers, for one thing. Tanner's townhouse has 2 steep staircases inside to get to his living level.
He's basically
on
the third floor.
level.
Yeah,
yes.
The garage is on the first. Nothing's
Yes.
on the second. He's on the third.
I was sweating to death.
And it was air conditioned. It was, it was the temperature wasn't it. It was just the fact that, my gosh, we just clearly not.
Yeah. And
mover
Saturday,
shape.
we were both dead. And I'm a fitness instructor. I do this every day. But it was
So you know what you
walking up
should
and
do?
down stair. Well,
You should design the move-in workout.
okay. Well, I did get on we have the stair climber. I hadn't been on that in ages. Well, Ashley happened to be gone. And so we usually do step on Monday and Fridays. And I said, oh, I'll just get on the stair climber. I did that thing for 15 minutes. I was so sore the rest of the entire week.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And we're not, again, not heavy stuff. Carrying up a thing, I think the tray of silverware may have been the heaviest thing in there.
It was just.
So we definitely needed to, and it was nice getting things set up there, but we definitely needed to reward ourselves after that. So
Yes.
changed clothes and then went to one of our favorites. And I think we may have mentioned it before, but we went to Torelli's down there in Greenville, which is a long-standing, even it has burned down and been rebuilt,
yes.
long-standing restaurant there. And it was great. We got there. This was one of the things that we found funny. We live in the suburbs, and when you go to a steak place or a nice place, if you weren't seated at the bar at or very near 5 o'clock.
Oh, 4.
Well, if they open at 4, but
yeah.
like a place that opens, you won't get a seat at the bar.
No. And what I found
This
interesting.
is in Frisco.
Yes. What I found interesting is when I was looking at Yelp to see, if we wanted to go somewhere else, nothing down there opened until 5.
Right.
Out here, things open at 4.
Right.
4:30. Some bars are open, like the Owl is open all day.
Sure, if they do a lunch or
But
something, yeah.
I was just shocked. I was going, wait, we're done at 4. We're ready to go have a drink, and nothing's open yet.
So Torelli's did open. I think what you saw it open at 4. We probably pulled in there 4:15, something like that. Maybe a little later.
It was a little later,
but in the Frisco
I bet they
time
opened
frame,
at 4:30.
maybe
But, yeah.
Frisco time frame. We should not have been able to get
There
a
were
seat
only
at the
2
bar.
other people at the bar.
And they were really old. So I walked up like, okay, we're not in our stomping grounds again. It was delightful. Had the martini, but we didn't want to just stay there. And this is what makes the empty nest world kind of fun. And it is, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. Let's just go wander the street and see what's nearby here. And Greenville's a little disjointed. It's got pockets of entertainment and restaurants separated by housing. So we're in a smaller pocket, came out, and in a place where the old Blue Goose is a new, well, we didn't know it, but a restaurant called Goodwin's. All right, that's where everybody is at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
That place was hopping.
Yes, it was. And the little speakeasy, they call it, which happened to be, they paid a homage to
The Blue Goose.
They call it the Goose.
I loved it.
I
thought
did
that
too.
was
It was really neat. But
It's
it opened at 4, so I was like, okay, that opens at 4.
And that's where everyone was, and they had certainly a vibrant happy hour. It had only been open 7 weeks, which is a very Dallas. You and I used to joke about the locusts would always descend on new places. We just happened to be coincidentally in the midst of a locust swarm. But got our table. It for those that are here, I put on the recommend.
It was great. Oh yeah,
There's
definitely.
I wouldn't say that the menu is. There are some inventive elements on the menu. There are, but. Do you want a pork chop? Do you want a crab cake? But the steak sandwich that I had was really good. The burger looked good. The other things
the
that came around.
pasta that I had was very good.
Crab pasta.
That's what, yeah.
The cheese beignets were spectacular. Imagine this to be you can tell they're inspired by French bistro or even like 20s flapper era. It feels like something, and I can't think, whatever that movie was with DiCaprio, it feels like it would be in that era. The font that they're using is very 20s font. It's the Great Gatsby. There it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It has that kind of vibe.
Very, very good. Would recommend. This is where the emptiness guilt comes in.
Because, now I understand.
Yeah. So
okay.
Tegan was off on Friday, and I had told her earlier in the week we were going down to Tanner's apartment. She was welcome to come with us. Then we were going to go to dinner. So we were getting ready to leave. I said, hey, remember, we're going down there and we're out. And she said, oh, y'all aren't going to be here? We're not going to go out to dinner? And I said, no. Well, I wasn't aware of that. Like, okay. So then I'm sitting there going, well, you can come with us, but she didn't want to come with us. And so, yes, I got that pang of,
I'm leaving my daughter.
I'm leaving my child, and I know she can fend for herself.
Yeah.
And so it did. It hit that. I feel, should we try to come back out here and go to dinner? And I had to just say this time, no, we're not. So
I didn't even entertain the coming back out there. The closest I did, and of course it was totally facetious. Like, well, she can Uber down here if she wants and meet us. I'd be happy to have her join, an $80 hour and a half Uber, but sure, come on down.
So, but while we were sitting at dinner, you noticed behind
I was blinded.
my head.
So, and go look at this, because it was the whole time I'm staring at this. And of course, it's adjusted for the picture. There was more light inside the restaurant. But this is what I stared at the entire meal over Clancy's shoulder. Val's cheesecakes.
Yes.
Beckoning to us like a beacon on a hill.
And Tegan loves cheesecake. So I sent her a quick text when we were wrapping up dinner, and I said, hey, sent her this picture, and I said, would you like a piece of cheesecake? And I sent her the menu, and yes, she did. So
and
that made me feel a little better.
You assuaged a little bit of your guilt. You did some penance there. I had the dessert there. None of the desserts on the menu actually intrigued any of us. And then she said, oh, but we've got a special one. Well, yeah, you need to put that one on the list. It was fresh peaches with a yellow sponge cake and cream. And yeah, it was good.
It was good. But the cheesecake, because I did get a piece to bring home for later. It's good too. So if you live anywhere in the Dallas area, we've given you Torelli's, which everyone probably already knows, Good Ones, which is new, and Val's, which was new to us. I don't know how long it's been there, but so there you go. And I'm texting Tanner saying, hey, we're in your new stomping grounds, and we've found places that you won't be able to afford to go, but if the parents come down,
right. These will be our Phoenix, Scottsdale equivalent when we take into places. And it was, to a place that's only been open 7 weeks. You and I are not trendsetters. We're not seeking to be there, but it was kind of fun to be a part of a high energy, something new.
Yeah, and
it is weird to think that was the Blue Goose, though.
I'm really excited for him. We just being in his apartment.
You were so excited this week. I'll just talk about that. Like, you loved like all the shopping and getting the items, like the new apartment. There was a twinkle in your eye. That's not what I mean, but just an excitement that you felt.
It's fun to get to start from a blank slate.
Yeah.
And because I think I said this last time, most of our stuff that we still use is from our wedding or things that we've bought along the way. So it's nice. Yeah, trends have changed in 24 years.
They have. Well, guess who doesn't care? Didn't know, but sure. That's
so it is nice to. And again, I'm not furnishing his apartment. I went to IKEA and Amazon. So, which. Again, that was not available to us when we were young marrieds. But I do. It's fun just getting to start with a complete blank slate. And you and I actually had that conversation at dinner that we're almost just itching for change. Something new, a change.
Thank God we're not talking about us something new. We're not trying to replace that, but just life.
Yeah, just, surroundings. It's fun to be... You and I go down to Dallas some. We've been down there way more now that Tanner is going to be living down there. It was fun to be in his space and thinking he's going to get to live here and experience all of this. And so I'm ready for us to have a new experience.
For us, it's a rerun. It's a refresh, even if it's new places like Val's or whatever. And the delight is that it feels still new because it's kind of a return. For him, it's brand new. Mm-hmm. I think that is the itch, though, that we're looking for. Is, okay, what is the actual brand new for us? What does that look like? No, we're not announcing we're moving. Nobody freak out or anything like that. But
no, we're not anywhere near that. But
we still have plenty of things to do here. And that's like even last night.
Yeah. But okay, you're skipping ahead, though.
That's fine.
You went out of order. Because
I'm sorry, I have failed in the agenda memorization.
That's fine.
We need cue cards.
We will get to that, but so while we're doing these things, and again, we offered to do these things for Tanner because he is staying out in Arizona and working. But this weekend he went to Vegas.
Yeah,
and so my text on Saturday to him was, hey, since you're in Vegas, I need proof of life. And he texted back and said, I'm alive, going to John's Summit here in 30 to 45 minutes. And I said, have fun. What'd you go?
Yeah, I said,
what's John's Summit?
I don't know what John's Summit is. It sounds like, are they doing a Bible study, studying the verses 30 and 45 of John?
Yes, it's the summit of the Gospel of John.
At the topless
in
pool.
Vegas. At Live Beach, which is where he was.
I don't know anything
this
about Live
DJ
Beach.
John Summit.
I don't think they were studying the gospel, but
No,
it probably was good news for them.
Yes, but so he is having one last hurrah before he comes home next weekend. And again, for those of you who know, Tanner's in Arizona, so Vegas is a quick trip for him. He's been several times since he's been out there, but one of his Dallas friends was going to be out there, so.
Yeah.
So, yes, he is in Vegas with one of his good friends, Mike, and so look like they are having a grand time. So, making sure there's nothing in that picture. That
I'm doing the same thing. I'm like looking at all the background.
No, everybody looks clothed.
That actually
so
looks pretty normal.
It looks
like my vision of hell, but it does look pretty normal.
So yes. So
let's see.
And let's see. Those texts came in at
4:20.
6:22 our time, which on the weekends, Tanner, we don't get up that early. And I have it set for emergency, so it came through. So they are obviously having a good time.
Yeah.
While they were having a good time, then yes,
I was going to say
actually,
so it's slightly different, but so we went out we've talked about the PGA district before. Mm-hmm. That's the area by the PGA headquarters that's been set up to have restaurants, and there's other sort of golf things. They have done a good job.
Sort of golf things. It revolves around golf.
Well, fair. I was already thinking of the next thought. The putting green that's there and swing is there. This is not the course. That's a little bit down the next building over. And they've done a good job, though, of setting up events. We talked about, now that's 2 weeks in a row, or 3 weeks. We talked about the PGA, the fireworks. Mm-hmm. They bring bands out there, similar to how Lava Cantina does. They bring a lot of cover bands out there.
Grandscape
and Lava Cantina, a specific place. They all tend to have a rotation of these bands. Yes. And this one was Escape, which is the Journey cover band. Yeah. So a riff to one of the albums that they did. These guys were actually pretty darn good.
They were very good. Very good. And the George Strait guy we saw was very good, too.
It just shows you the talent that's out there. It's amazing what people can do.
I love a cover band. Yeah, I love seeing the real bands, too, but I love a cover band. And, when our friends invite us, that we've been trying to reconnect with, and sent me a text and said, hey, we may go to the Journey cover band. Y'all want to do it? And we went with them to George Strait. I mean, this is a 6-minute drive from our house, from both of our houses. We love it. You can just go up there. You get an outside table. We don't even mess with sitting on the green, the lawn.
There's plenty of space. You could do it, but it's nice. You know what it felt like? I had this thought. I didn't say it. Yes. It felt like being in sort of the boxes at a sporting event, that you're in the boxes being served food and beverage while the event happens in front of you. But it was nice.
It is. And to be able and sit out in July in Texas was incredible. It was nice outside last night.
And to anyone who isn't from here, it was hot. There's no way to get around that. It was hot, yet because of the breeze, because of the shade, we wonder how our ancestors pulled it off without AC. Probably because what they did, they just sat still in the shade and didn't do stuff when it was that hot. It was wonderful for being that hot.
And that's it. Well, as you were saying, we still have things to do around here. This is one of the things that is new to our area in the past 2 years. And we do enjoy going up there for these events and that kind of thing. And again, it's 6 minutes from our house.
JP said he was looking at vehicles that he said, I found one that's like a 4-seater and I said, no, it needs to be a 5-seater so that the driver can drive the 4 of us up there. So, James, will you pull the golf cart around front for us?
And I think they're looking at that for their new, because where they're moving to has a lot of eating areas around it. And so I think they're looking at that for that area. So
it was fun.
It was fun. It was nice. It was just enjoyable. And again, what I was going to say is Journey is not my favorite band. I, of course, listen to them, but when you hear all the songs again,
Oh yeah.
and I think they only played 2 that must have been on the B side. I didn't know.
There were only 2 that I did not recognize from. And what I said is I never owned a single Journey album. I only owned Journey's greatest hits. I certainly knew the albums. I watched all the videos. I still remember the bus video, the playing the keyboards on the side of the metal building video. Even Sherry, as he's walking through whatever that church is, the hallway that he's walking through. I knew that. I don't know anything off of the greatest hits. So when they deviate from the greatest hits, you can almost feel the energy of the crowd sort of kind of subside, and who knows, maybe just kind of a break that they're doing.
And he sounded very close to Steve Perry, but when you looked at him, he looked like Vince Neil.
Well,
the old man. Yeah,
no, he looked like current Vince Neil. And when I say he looked like current Vince Neil, he really looked like
Vince Neil was the lead singer of Motley Crue, and
and I mean, he had the headband, the hair, and as all of us have put on a little more, he's got a little bit of his empty nest weight on. So
it was very, very good. It was a nice evening out. So, we did a good job this week of getting back into our empty nest groove.
I think what it shows is, well, there's kind of a mixture of 2 thoughts that are coming. They're not well formed yet, but you have to both be thoughtful in planning these, and you have to be completely open to the unplanned. Because the Journey one, while it was planned a couple days, this wasn't planned for weeks.
Oh, it was less than 24 hours.
Right.
Because we were driving home from Dallas when
I couldn't
Aaron
remember
texted
exactly
me.
the timing. So there's something about both of those that as an empty nester, you have to be, there's the word, that's the one you always hear.
Intentional.
And you have to be intentional. And you have to be
spontaneous.
Unintentional, but spontaneous. I like that. I was just going for the opposite. The unintentional, the spontaneous, both of those are what will make living the empty nest successful.
And I think I've almost, and I don't know if this is a true statement. I think I've done better lately with the spontaneous, let's do this, versus having something on the calendar and thinking about. There's certain groups that I look totally forward to meeting up with, and we plan well in advance. But it's almost, if I know I have something, then I almost am like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Whereas, like last week when we just went, do you want to go watch the fireworks? Okay, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Do you want, so I don't know. It's an interesting shift in how
I see that.
I'm very scheduled and regimented. And so it's an interesting shift that
you most definitely have added more spontaneity. Not that you were not inflexible before, but on the spectrum between completely never planned, just do it by spur of the moment, to everything is scripted, you've been moving more towards the unplanned, the willingness for the unplanned side of the pendulum than earlier in life.
And I think that's the. I mean, it's definitely, we have a different kind of freedom now that we don't have children's schedules. But
the only people you mess up, not you, the only people we mess up are ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that'd be an interesting. I need to self-reflect on that, I think.
Is that going to be the next mug, though? The only people we mess up is ourselves. I can't even get it grammatically correct, so no, probably not. Oh, goodness.
So, yeah.
Well, continue to be introspective, Clancy.
I think just talking about what I wanted to talk about, just emptiness, guilt. I think I've had that in every stage of life with the children, especially. I want their, as much as we shouldn't want, and I am by no means was never a helicopter parent.
No.
Never. But I want them to be happy and have good lives and it hurts me when they get disappointed about things.
Yeah. So how
And
much
so
of this is
I'm-
actually empty nest guilt versus just the new phase
It's
of
probably
mom
just
guilt?
parent guilt, yes, and mom guilt. And I'm so bad. And I probably have my mom to thank for this. She didn't do this as much when we were younger, but now everything is, you need to eat. What do you want to eat? Can anytime anyone comes over, it's always feed, feed, feed. And by no means are any of us look like we are treated that way, but Tegan had a really hard day at work, this week. And so what did I do? I brought her favorite cookies that she likes, and I had them at home when she. So, and how did I?
Denton food is love theme.
And how did I? The Val's cheesecake.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a food pusher, I guess. But again, none of my children would look like they were raised by a food pusher.
Thank God for fitness and metabolism,
So,
which is something that's declining as we get into the empty nest.
so that was a tangent.
I don't know where we'll go with
for you.
that.
I
All
don't
right,
know.
that could be seeds of thought for a
That was
future
a
one.
tangent for you, but
All right.
I think this is my therapy. I'm not seeing a therapist yet. I probably should at some point in my life. So this
recommend.
is my therapy, but which is also what Ashley and I call work is our therapy. So
I like that. Well, that's by design. We intend this as something to just connect each other. So yeah, this is couples therapy.
no, and we're letting all of you in on our baggage.
I don't remember a lot of therapist offices that had a gallery, but I'm imagining like the Seinfeld operating gallery. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the therapy session. I know I enjoyed the therapy session. I hope that all of y'all enjoyed the therapy session on the Loud, Quiet, Living the Empty Nest.